Hi, this is Alex again. In this video, we're going to be going over how to make hair for your plushie characters. So I have included a generic pattern that you can use to fit the body and head printout, and then you can customize this however you would want. If you just want to kind of tweak it, if you want to completely change it, that works perfectly too. You can also just make it longer, if you're doing a character with long hair. Then also just lengthen the front, whatever you need to do. So to make this, I have just taken my head shape and traced the circle onto a piece of paper and then drawn my hair around it, much like you would if you were just drawing a character. You would draw the shape of their face, and that way your hair fits proportional to the size of your character's head. So doing that, you can just take also your own blank piece of paper and just draw whatever hair you want to do. So also with this pattern, just kind of to show you the way that you can customize, I just have a couple of my plushie characters here. One thing that you can do is color over the hair like I have done here, because his hair has a teensy bit of a green tinge to it. So I just went over the top of it with a bit of light green Sharpie, just to kind of give a little bit more of that green into the brown. Here you can see I've added these like white bits on top because he has the weirdest hairstyle in any anime ever. In the back, also on all of these, you'll notice I have just extra bits just to kind of give it a little bit of definition. You don't have to do that by any means. It's just to kind of give a little more shape to the hair if you choose to do that. Same thing here, you'll notice that he has his little ponytail that I just kind of added in there, and then also the shape to give the effect of his hair being pulled back into a ponytail. And then you also notice that he doesn't have bangs necessarily, he just has kind of this straight hairline with little bits that kind of stick out. So these are just a few examples. Honestly, the possibilities are endless, just any character you can think of. Kind of simplify their hair the same way you would for a chibi, and then that is how you could translate it into this form. So once you have your pattern, what you're going to do is cut that pattern out. So how I usually make my patterns, beyond just tracing the circle and drawing it out, in order to get the front and back to match up, because that's something I personally like to do, is I cut out the front part, and then what I'll do is I'll take my second circle, flip that front part over, and then trace around it so I get the same outline on the top. And then once I have that, I can just finish out the bottom however I want to finish it. So once we have our two patterns, front and back, cut out, what we can do is just take our felt fabric, whatever you're using, and then what I like to do is just pin it to the felt. You can use as many pins as you need to keep it in place. Because this is just the front and this example is just short, I just need kind of one to keep it in place. And then you're going to start to just cut around your pattern. And you can do this with any type of scissors that you have. I'm just kind of using these. If you have a lot of little detail in your hair, it is easier to do it with smaller scissors. It helps also to keep a trash can handy or somewhere where you can just kind of gather up scraps instead of having to pile them up somewhere and then potentially lose little bits. So the other trick that I have learned over the years is if you have hair with a lot of small details, specifically for these like curls, here is one place where that was very important, is if you go over the back of your felt with a little bit of glue, just to hold the fibers together, it lets you cut out small details a little bit better without your felt pulling apart. Because when you get a thin piece of felt, it kind of is easy to just fray it like that. You can just easily pull it apart. And if you have little tiny peaks on your hair or small strands, a lot of the time they might pull apart as you're trying to cut them. So the other thing that is also important, an important tip to use, is, for example, this piece that I just cut out here out of this corner is actually a really good size. So this I can use, for example, if I wanted to give pupils to my characters, if I wanted to use it for their eyes, for little details on their clothing. You can reuse scraps. So keep your bigger scraps. I have a bag of big scraps that I just like to keep handy for when I need a little piece for a character. It's not worth it to cut an entire piece of felt up for it. So let me just finish cutting these out, and then I will be right back. Alright, so now that I have my 2 pieces of hair cut out, I can just remove them from the pattern. And what I like to do next is to just attach my hair to the front of my face with a pin. And then once that's attached, however high-low you want to put it on there, I will show you what the next step will be in the next video.